All right, in this video, we're going to talk about the recruiting process, and we're going to break down from start to finish. What is a recruiter doing on a day-to-day basis? What is their main objective? What are they trying to get done on a day-to-day basis? And then what are the key tasks? What are the key tasks that a recruiter is going to do in order to achieve their main objective? So if you take nothing else from this video here, you should walk away with an understanding of, okay, here's what a recruiter is ultimately trying to get done. And then here are the steps that they're taking in order to achieve that goal, in order to achieve that main objective. All right, so I copied this over from our last video where we looked at how a company A, might go about filling their open roles. So remember, as the recruiter, this is you, the recruiter, you're helping the company to fill these open roles. The company needs to hire salespeople to generate more revenue. They need to hire product people to build more product, and hire support people to support all those new customers. So your job as a recruiter is ultimately to fill these open roles. And that's the main objective here. That's it, right? No secret. That's your job as a recruiter, is to fill these open roles that the company needs. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to go out in the market and find qualified candidates or qualified people that can do these jobs. So you want to go out and find salespeople that can do the sales jobs. You want to find product people that can do the product jobs, support people that can do the support jobs. So that's the main objective. Go fill these open roles as a recruiter. So how do you actually do that is going to be, the key tasks or the key steps in your day-to-day as a recruiter. Let's break those down. These are your key tasks as a recruiter. These are your key tasks. So number one is going to be to source candidates. And sourcing candidates is what we're talking about when we think about this step right here. And so let me just label this for us. So sourcing is all about defining who we want to go out and recruit, and then how are we going to recruit them, right? How are we going to find these people and bring them to company A? So sourcing is all about finding qualified candidates. And that's really step one, is you got to find people that you can go talk to, find people that you can engage with. That's the sourcing piece of the puzzle here. Step two is, after you have found those people, after you source them and they're interested in talking with your company, then you're going to interview them. Then you're going to interview these qualified candidates. So interviewing these qualified candidates, that is right in here, right? So we're interviewing. Interviewing is all about taking these qualified people, these qualified candidates, and starting to bring them back to company A, right? How do we get them to interview with company A and come and potentially join our company? So interviewing is all about assessing candidates for mutual fit. And the word mutual there is really important because, of course, we can't force anybody to come join our company, right? We need to make sure that they're a good fit for us and that we are a good fit for them. So there has to be mutual buy-in on both sides. Otherwise, you will never make it to step three, which is hiring candidates, which is really just selecting the best fit candidates, selecting the best fit candidates. That's really the last step here, right? We've successfully sourced, interviewed, and now hired the open roles that we need filled. So these are the steps from top to bottom. We're going to source these candidates, we're going to interview them, and then we're going to hire them. And that's really ultimately what a recruiter is trying to do every single day in order to fill their open roles. Now, a couple finer points that I think you should keep in mind as you're thinking about the recruiting process here. Number one is that you're going to need to find a lot more candidates. You need to source a lot more candidates than you need to hire. And the reason for that is because there's candidate drop off along the way. So there's drop off that's going to happen as you recruit candidates. There's drop off. And there's drop off in the interview process. There's drop off on both sides of the coin, right? So there's candidate drop off, and that's candidates that don't want to work with our company. And there's company drop off where the company is rejecting a candidate because they're not a good fit. So there's candidates and companies rejecting each other. And what that ends up looking like for a hiring company is you might have to source 100 people in order to get a single hire. And when you source 100 people, you're probably going to interview only about 10% of those people, because you're going to source a lot of people and really quickly realize that some of them aren't a great fit for your company, or some of them don't have the skills that you're looking for in the role that you need. And what people refer to, or what you'll hear out in the world, is this being called the interview funnel or the hiring funnel, because there's drop off along the way, just like a funnel. It's wide at the top, narrow at the bottom. And this is pretty typical to see. This is like a 1% conversion rate from top to bottom, where you source about 100 people and you hire about one person. And that's pretty typical to see, again, because of this drop off, because along the way, candidates are rejecting the company, companies rejecting the candidates, and you end up with about 1 out of 100. The second thing that you should definitely keep in mind here is that the recruiting process is roles based. So roles based. So it's unlikely that you would have a single recruiter overseeing, the sales positions, the product positions, and the support positions. It's more likely that you'll have individual recruiters overseeing each one of these. And at a large company, you might have a number of recruiters overseeing these, right? So you might have, a handful of sales recruiters, a handful of product, a handful of support recruiters. And typically a recruiter will specialize in a single role that they're working on. So you are dedicated to recruiting for the sales role, or dedicated to recruiting for product or engineering roles. So keep that in mind, that it's roles based. And when you're interviewing or you're going to find, you're starting off in this job, you'll typically oversee a single role. And then the third thing that I just want to call out here is that the recruiting process is team driven. And we'll talk about this more. We'll talk about this more in our next video, but it really is team driven. So there's a number of folks involved in the recruiting process. Obviously, there is the recruiter themselves, but you're working with a team, including the hiring manager. So the hiring manager is going to be the person that the candidate is going to report to once they get hired. So, you hire a salesperson, they're going to report to the hiring manager, aka, the VP of sales or the head of sales, right? Whoever their boss is going to be. The product person is going to report to, the head of product or VP of product, whoever is the going to be the eventual manager of that person. So it's team driven. We'll talk about this more in the next video, but just keep that in mind, that these are the steps in order to bring, the key tasks in order to bring a new hire on board. You got to go out and source people, interview people, and hire people, but it's not all on the recruiter to do every single step here. There really is a team involved helping along the way.